Hi, I'm Harold Gutmann here with Steve Wiseman, and welcome to Game Day, Duke and UNC edition. Both teams start ACC play on the road this weekend, but before we get to that, let's look back at last weekend. And Duke finished their non-conference schedule 4-0 for the first time since 1994. Steve, what are the biggest takeaways from last month?
Yeah, the first four non-conference games served as a primer to get into ACC play. I mean, college teams don't play exhibitions, so this is what we get. And what we've learned about Duke is that they're a far better running team this year, even though they were last year. And last year they were better than the year before, so they continue to progress in that area, and that's been a big help for their offense. It's made it more consistent because the running game is something you can count on every game, and they know they're going to have that. And the passing game has not been as accurate, but they're throwing the ball downfield more, and so they're going more for the big plays. Completion percentage is down a little bit, but when you're running the ball consistently, you can get away with that and try to go for the home run every now and again. The defense has proved to be very, very good. They've only allowed 11 points a game against lesser competition, and we'll see what happens in ACC play. But good things so far for Duke.
Yeah, it's kind of been the opposite for UNC. I mean, they are 2-1, which I guess is a positive. But you mentioned the Duke's defense being better, the running game being better. Yeah, it's kind of the opposite at UNC. Their running game hasn't really gotten off the ground because their offensive line has kind of been hobbled. Quinshaw Davis, the number one receiver, has less than 100 yards after 3 games. And the defense, I mean, there's not much you can say about the defense after giving up 70 points at East Carolina Saturday. You know, with the extra week to prepare, with the motivation from East Carolina getting the 500 yards last year and then to give up almost 800 yards this year, it's a real head scratcher. It makes you kind of reevaluate the scheme, the players, I mean, the coaches, pretty much everything, which is not where you want to be after 4 weeks since they had the bye week already. But that's kind of where they are, and possibly even worse. You had some players like T.J. Thorpe from Durham saying that he saw guys give up after the game. The coaches kind of denied that, but I don't know what's worse. If they gave up, which is obviously bad, or if they didn't give up, which means they allowed 70 points, right, giving a full effort. So I actually don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you. But Larry Fedora is all about turning the page. Let's move on. Let's forget about it. Some guys didn't even watch the tape from East Carolina. So let's move on to this Saturday. Duke's going down to Miami for an early Coastal Division clash. What are the keys there?
Yeah, both teams are starting ACC play, which this is time to turn the page to that. So, with the running game is going to be important against Miami because Duke ran the ball very well against the Hurricanes last year, and Miami has a great running back in Duke Johnson. So it's going to come down to who can control the line of scrimmage, run the ball well, control the clock. For once, Duke has athletes that can match up with Miami, and I don't think anybody would have thought that would have been the case 2 or 3 years ago. But it just goes to show how far the program's come. That even the coaches, Coach Cutcliffe said yesterday at his press conference that we have the athletes to match up with Miami now, and that's a big statement. Maybe they don't when if they ever play Florida State again or like that, but they're making progress, and so now they know they can do that going into ACC play.
Yeah, and North Carolina's going down to Clemson for their ACC opener. Also going to be an underdog with that one. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at the defense, seeing how they respond to giving up the 70 points. It has happened before, not the 70 points, but 2 years ago they gave up 68 to Georgia Tech. 5 days later, went down to Virginia on a Thursday night and only gave up 13. Then last year they gave up the 55 to ECU. The next week played pretty well at Virginia Tech. So this team has shown an ability to bounce back. I'm actually, as much as people are concerned about the defense, I'm actually going to be looking at the offensive line. Clemson has one of the best defensive fronts in the country, led by Vic Beasley, All-American defensive end. And UNC's offensive line is kind of in tatters right now. Their 2 best guys on the right side. Their guard, Landon Turner, is out with an injury. The right tackle, John Heck, got injured in the first quarter against East Carolina. I don't think he'll be back against Clemson. So they're going to have a true freshman at right guard. They're going to have a junior with 1 career start at right tackle, and it's going to be an interesting match to see how they match up against Clemson. So while everyone's worried about the defense, I think that's going to be a real key for UNC. So we'll be here to talk about it next week, and thank you so much for watching Game Day.